Referee for tonight's match is Brandon Smith. His assistants are Jose Vega and Fernando Fierro. Your fourth official is Ricardo Fierro.
Expectations are fickle. They're the heart of belief, but the tip of the sword. San Diego's scintillating end of 2020 brought with it anticipation. All seemingly dashed in 4 season-opening losses, their return to Torero Stadium coincides with the longest unbeaten streak in the league. Sacramento are struggling. Their season-opening wins feel distant. The pressure is mounting for a club in pursuit of a second star, now equally remote. Can a win turn the narrative of a team wilting under duress? Teams with great expectations diverging in the USL Championship's Pacific Division. Republic and Loyal starts right now. Welcome to the USL Championship on ESPN and a very happy 4th of July weekend from San Diego, California and Torero Stadium. Fans packing the joint as San Diego Loyal returns home where they are perfect on the season to welcome Sacramento Republic down from the California capital. Alejandro Guido, 3 goals during a stretch for San Diego where they have not lost in 7, 5 wins in that span. And Darek Formela trying to help this moribund offense turn around for a Sacramento side winless in 6. Mike Watts, Devin Kerr, here's a look at the Pacific Division right now. Dev, I don't think we thought it would lay out exactly like this to start July.
Definitively not. Sacramento Republic started the season 2 games unbeaten. Quality wins. Their last win, Mike, back on May 12th. Chasing down results right now and on the road against the San Diego Loyal team that is 7 games unbeaten. That's best in the USL Championship right now.
For San Diego, they started with 4 consecutive road games and flew 9,116 miles. They didn't garner a single point. Since then, 5 wins, including 4 in 4 games at Torero Stadium. Devin, to understand why San Diego's turned it around, let's go ahead of the curve.
Everything about this team, Mike, comes down to chemistry and rotation. It takes time. It's a family and industrious effort. We know they can go in transition, but what I've really seen over the past couple of weeks is their pressure, not press up top. Little turnover on the movement into the final third. It's the inverted half space that you're going to see out of the outside mids. We're highlighting Jack Blake in his recent form. Notice the little step down in the quarter. You have to watch the space coming through. Barry has that covered, but Jack Blake recognizes he just struck gold. He's got 5 yards to work with just at the top of the 18. Little stutter step and a step over, brings it to his right side, picks out the upper corner. It can be Blake, it can be Barry, it can be Corey Herzog. San Diego is a ticking time bomb that is marvelous in the final third right now.
So San Diego's turned this thing around. For Sacramento, it's been a struggle. Mark Briggs saying they don't feel they're a million miles away. They need Cameron Iwasa to begin to find his form.
Cam Iwasa, Dark Formella, Luis Felipe steps in, Pete Pananen, Tucker Bone, Mario Panagos tonight. All of these guys can score goals. No one's stepping up. Cam Iwasa is trending in the right direction. His manager feels that he's starting to turn the corner, get to a good place. In order for them to have success, Mike, he's going to lead the line up top, and he has to find the back of the net. It's as simple as that. As they hold 2 deep, I'm really interested to see the youngster Mario Panagos in the midfield. How does he hold the 10? Can he create enough? The outside backs of McCrary and Lacroix are going to have their hands full with as much pace as San Diego Loyal brings to the final third. A lot of inversion, a lot of rotation for San Diego Loyal and Landon Donovan. The way that they move, Ibarra pinching, Blake pinching, Jack Metcalf basically plays as a wingback on that right flank. They invert into a 3. Trey Muse has been great in goal. You and I talked about it, though. He's a bit of a wild card. He's great on his own. Can the back line hold his back? But when he's isolated, can he also step up? Corey Herzog fills that pocket and allows the striker up top, Alejandro Guido, to go to goal and work this offense any which way they want.
So for San Diego, can they continue this torrid run of form? 7 without a loss, taking on a Sacramento side that needs to start to get this right. We've got kickoff when we return to the USL Championship on ESPN.
Starting lineup for your San Diego Loyal. Goalkeeper number 16, Ray. Number forward, defender Jack. Defender number 33, Gallo. Defender number 5, Durant. Defender number 3, Elijah.
USL Championship on ESPN. Welcome everybody to the Republic of California. Sacramento taking on San Diego Loyal. Mike Watts, Devin Kerr from Torero Stadium. Landon Donovan owning this San Diego side alongside Andrew Visliatis, second year at the helm for this second-year club. And Devin, about 7 games ago, it wasn't such a positive mood, but the focus was always on results for both these coaches. It's how you get through the tough times.
It's the same exact thing that we saw for San Diego Loyal at the start of the 2020 season, though. This takes time, Mike, and now, best in the league in terms of form. Now, they've got a long way to go. Landon Donovan admitted that this is an elite team. We're just not at an elite level right now.
And for Sacramento, certainly not at an elite level right now. It can be difficult and lonely with a fan base as rabid as it is in Sacramento to lose a number of games in a row.
The admission by Mark Briggs that at his level right now as the manager of Sacramento Republic, Wilmington Pryor, Real Monarchs Bar, he's never experienced growing pains like this. How does he react now that they have injuries, now that they have faulty form? This team has a lot of talent, Mike, and still a long way to go.
Second ever meeting between San Diego and Sacramento is underway in front of a boisterous crowd in Southern California. San Diego, 5 wins on the year. 4 of them have come here in front of the Loyals. Tomas Gomez returns to goal for Sacramento. Rafa Diaz got the start last game. Diaz was the #1 in preseason, but picked up an injury and left at halftime. Came off of Colin Martin. That's a foul for Mela to ground. Start for Mela from Poland, 3-time Polish Cup winner. His 3rd season in Sacramento. Felipe. Pananen. For Mela, holding off Metcalf. The offside flag was up. Devin, as you analyzed Sacramento coming into this game, goal scoring has been an issue. Why do you think that's been so prominent?
There's a couple of different reasons. Number one, the main component is confidence, Mike.
Well, Guido gets this into the penalty area and sliced through by Blake out in front of Herzog.
Conversely, San Diego Loyal not lacking for any, so let's get that out of the way. But, you know, Cami Wassa, a guy who for years has done wondrous things for Sacramento Republic at the professional level in general. He's just off. Dark Vermela trying to find not just rhythm, Mike, but where does his role lie within this team moving forward? Do you want to play him an outside mid? Do you want to play him on top in the 9? They've moved him a little bit down underneath. There's a lot of rotation in there. The 10, a lacking spot. Let's not forget that Mark Briggs has changed formation a lot, so he's, as a coach, is trying to find the best movement for this team going forward, and that exactly hasn't translated to good movement at all moving forward from his players. Carlton Belmar, his confidence was shook years ago, and it really started at Nashville. You know, the combination was Daniel Rios, Carlton Belmar, Cameron Lancaster. All 3 of them never really got on the same page, one of which still put statistics up. That's Daniel Rios. Lancaster's now doing it at another club. Carlton Belmar's trying to do the same. So the main attacking options that you've brought in, and the formation and the form, all a cause for concern. But as I mentioned, you're only a third of the way through the season. You can still recover here.
Short of Metcalf, placed out by Lacroix. Metcalf, one of the linchpins of Landon Donovan's system here in San Diego. Bouncing ball for Herzog. Blake over Ibarra. McCrary. It was funny when we talked to Mark Briggs, Sacramento's head coach. He said, in effect, when you know a team is going to play a certain way, exactly a certain way, and San Diego continuing to put the pressure on early, and Herzog misstrikes that, sends it wide. Thumbs up from Herzog. Does it make it more difficult or easier to scout and to play against? And he didn't entirely agree with the sentiment that other teams don't have patterns, but you and I have seen it. San Diego plays one way.
It's very predictable. The other thing about it, though, Mike, is as understanding as you can have of what this team is going to throw at you, it's still ever-changing. You know, the fact that Jack Blake likes to pinch to the inside and basically jump in front of Charlie Adams and Colin Martin is no secret. Jack Metcalf moving 20 yards from his own goal to 10 yards from the opposition. Everybody understands that. But then the next question is, where does he cut it back? Is he going to serve the ball early? Is he trying to find Corey Herzog in the air? Is Guido going to drop down underneath? There are so many different scenarios that play out for this team moving forward. So you can have an idea of what's coming, but actually being able to stop it is quite difficult.
See Sacramento in 6th. With a win today, 10 points would put them right in the mix, but it wouldn't put them up in the playoff position yet. This is good for Metcalf, and even better from Lacroix. A win for San Diego for at least a few hours to put them in first place in the Pacific Division. Phoenix does have games in hand and plays LA Galaxy 2 later tonight on ESPN+.
The other side of that coin, though, Mike, is as bad as it's been for Sacramento Republic. If you look right now, 3 games in hand on San Diego Loyal. They win 3 games. They're sitting even on points. And that's how close this division really is. And the form, poor. That's no secret for Sacramento Republic. But again, there's just so much to play. And you start getting guys back. Remember, Malik Foster had surgery, a huge offseason acquisition for Sacramento Republic. He hasn't even stepped onto the field yet. Groin surgery recently. They said they're going to reevaluate in about 10 days' time. That's a huge attacking component for Mark Briggs moving forward. Find a little form, get your health back. They can make a run at this thing at the end of the season.
See Brandon Stevis there, our referee. And a grimace from McCrary. Good pick set by the referee. Not sure he had anything to do with that, in truth. Formela. Counter press on Metcalf. Felipe muscled away from the ball by Colin Martin. That did escape over the sideline. Turn by Penagos. This will find Tucker Bone. Pananen. Space for McCrary. Away by Trey Muse.
Notice a little pump fake on the far side, though, Mike. They were waiting for the run to develop out of Jordan McCrary on the outside.
Felipe has a go.
Those are the little moments for a team that's not really clicking, where there's good build-up, 3-4 passes, nice rotation by players, and that final touch just lacking. Exactly what we're talking about for Sacramento Republic moving forward, even as you work through Tucker Bone, who himself has a nice little cut back to the inside. There's no presence on that right wing, so it's easy for Miguel Ibarra to drop back, and Elijah Martin's job defensively is that much simpler.
McCrary jumped the route. Muse. The deflection, giving Gucci playing that out. He's one of 5 former Sacramento Republic Academy products that are available to Mark Briggs today. Mark Briggs arrived to run the academy. Saw Simon Elliott leave, took over the head job. Penagos, Kibanguchi are in the starting lineup. Hayden Sargis, a center back. Julian Chavez and Jesus Sanchez, the reserve goalkeeper, all came out of what's becoming a really fertile academy in Northern California. Devin, you and I had the chance to do the MLS Next tournament, but we've seen it in a variety of tournaments over the past few years. The Sacramento Republic Academy is gaining a lot of respect, and the pathway that they're creating into the first team is notable. Awasa tackled from behind by Montgomery, and Montgomery will go into the book.
This is a must step from Callum Montgomery off of the back line. It's also understood that if he takes him down, it's not the end of the world because of all the greenery in behind and the fact that he had support over the right shoulder. With the little slide over for Callum Montgomery, that's the movement that you want in terms of space for Sacramento Republic. Now, whether that is Cami Wassa, Dark Famela, to challenge those interior two of Grant Stoneman and Callum Montgomery. Stoneman coming back from injury that he picked up week 1. Callum Montgomery, the loanee, does not have a lot of repetitions on that back line, centrally located, which leaves Elijah Martin and Jack Metcalf a bit more in charge than we've seen in matches past.
Pananen going to the back post. That's an open diving header wide of the close stick.
Not going to get this many that free. Can promise you that. That's miscommunication on the back post. Elijah Martin, Jack Blake, and Corey Herzog. 3v1 against Nabi Kimaguchi.
Felipe. He and Tucker Bone not on the same page. Dev, you think about Sacramento, you've got Kibanguchi starting at center back. Hayden Sargis has started 4 games at center back. So to go back to the academy concept, you'd argue that it's starting to bubble and a little bit of fruition in the first team here for the Republic.
I would say that even, you kind of touched on it a second ago, what we've seen from some of the younger boys. Amjad Narang was someone who really impressed us in that tournament, and for a guy that can play the 6, play the center back, Mark Briggs understands that this is the wave of the future, right? It's right in front of them right now. You also don't necessarily want to have to rely on those options at this point in time of the season. You know, the fact that you're looking for form is one thing, but the fact that you don't have a regular 11 and you have to go so young so early has not boded well for this squad. Another reason why results have been very difficult to come by. The other side of that argument, though, Mike, is I'm not hitting the panic button if I'm Sacramento Republic. There's too much talent here. We can look around the league and point at certain teams and say, okay, don't necessarily see it happening there. This isn't one of those teams.
Metcalf bounces that through. Since 1947, we'll wait on that. And now we'll get there. Since 1947, Select has been the leader in soccer ball quality and innovation. Select is the official ball supplier of the USL Championship and many of the elite leagues throughout Europe. For the latest Select products and special offers, visit selectsportamerica.com. This is fun, isn't it? We got a taste of this when San Diego hosted Las Vegas in March of 2020. Landon Donovan in front of a 100% capacity crowd, coming off a win against Oakland in the midweek. And several of the players indicated you almost took it for granted that you always had this kind of support.
Kind of funny how that works, right? Everybody quiet down, be quiet. I don't want to hear the comments from the peanut gallery until they're no longer there. You wish, you hope, you pray, you finally get your wish, and now they're a necessity. And it's not a commodity that you want to be able to afford. You need them there if you're San Diego Loyal, if you're back home for Sacramento Republic. The atmosphere, the support. A couple of coaches actually saying that even the opposing fans have driven them to be better on the road, which is a stark difference than what we saw back in 2019 and prior, where you didn't want anything to do walking out of that tunnel, hearing some of the comments, the boos, but just the motivation that they've utilized to themselves with the voices. Sometimes you take that negativity and push it in a positive direction.
Guido. Herzog finds Metcalf. Jack Blake has scored banger after banger, and Colin Martin sidestepping but lost the ball. Metcalf recovers. Further here by Herzog. Corner, San Diego. Good from Miguel Ibarra, who capped 3 times for the U.S. national team back in 2014, 2015. While he was still with Minnesota United, went on to a stint at Club Leon in Mexico, eventually into Seattle. And Ibarra has found a nice home for himself here in San Diego. Ball across, appeal there for a penalty. Referee had a long look. Ibarra actually said last game was the first time his parents had seen him play in a San Diego uniform. Ball forward, driving header. Montgomery off the crossbar.
Shades of Alejandro Guido and Miguel Berry combining once again. Different look coming here. What a ball whipped in by Charlie Adams all the way to Montgomery. Little makeshift corner coming off that set piece in the back corner. Well worked all the way back through. Good timing by Callum Montgomery off the back line.
24-year-old Canadian was part of Olympic qualifying for the Canadian national team earlier this year. Bypassing Elijah Martin. Now Martin's on it. Adams, who played for Mark Briggs in Salt Lake City previously. Stoneman. Well done by Ibarra. He says dad was getting on him a little bit about not having a goal yet. He scored the game winner against Oakland. He was hoping that would get dad off his back.
May get dad off his back, but I'm pretty sure Landon Donovan and Nate Miller are going to have something to say that they want more out of him. What an addition Miguel Ibarra is. Kind of hinted at it earlier on the season. I was talking about that left side. Yeah. And just kind of said, hey guys, any chance that the rumor might be true that Miguel Ibarra is coming here? Remember, he trained with them in preseason. A couple opportunities floating around MLS again, and ended up that this was going to be his home. And they said, can neither confirm nor deny. Came true about 12, 13 days later.
Unlike Nate Miller to give a non-answer, but so be it. The assistant coach for San Diego.
That's what happens when the main man Landon's on the phone with you.
Right.
Got to be real careful. He's listening.
Good ball dipped over here for Iwasa, but off the bounce he wasn't able to maintain. He slides in on Metcalf. Iwasa scored 53 goals all competitions in Sacramento. This will bounce toward the penalty spot. Iwasa was closest. Formela. Lacroix. Lacroix played down the line, intercepted by Colin Martin. Kibinguchi, with maybe a few more years of veteran presence, might not have had that whistle go against him.
It's not a bad step, though. I like the idea. It's similar to what we saw for San Diego Loyal about 10 minutes in on the challenge on Cami Iwasa. You can take chances as a center back, Mike, and this is one of them because you have the coverage on either side of you. Dan Casey just behind the right shoulder, as well as your two outside backs. So if you step into that space, take them down, and win the ball, you've got options galore in front of you. Referee blows the whistle, no harm, no foul. Literally, just step back, get onto the back line. No one will be the wiser.
Metcalf. It's been a strong first 20 minutes for San Diego. They'd like to get a goal for all the work they've done. Ibenguchi goes in. This will bounce out to Elijah Martin. Came up through the Galaxy Academy, played in Fresno. That's where he really turned it all around, playing for Adam Smith. Went from a bit player, the linchpin in that system, in the wide areas.
Watch where Charlie Adams slides a little bit here, Mike, as they start to work to the left with the tucking in of Jack Blake on the right-hand side. There's a couple tendencies. Metcalf coming high is one of them, of course. But as Ibarra goes, Charlie Adams has, over the past 2 or 3 matches, started to pinch out a little bit more. There's a good look at the top left side of your screen. Colin Martin is the tandem partner. As you follow back over, they play off of each other really impressively. And what that ends up doing, not only are you creating options in the midfield, but Herzog and Guido pick it up impressively as well. So it goes from one guy sliding left, and the next thing you know, you've got a 4-man box over there challenging the outside back and the outside midfielder.
It's as simple as saying that in that moment it just becomes a numbers game.
100%. I mean, that's all you're trying to get here is leverage. You know, you work off the training ground, whether you're working with half field, full field, you're playing 7-7, 11-11. Everything becomes about triangles and about squares working off of each other. Where are the boxes at? Do you have the dots to go from A to B or from B to Z? That's what Landon Donovan and Nate Miller talked about us as well, that it's simple, that everybody's got their own training regimens. They like to do theirs. They play smaller numbers. They pick out isolated spaces on the field. If you can play in a 10-yard radius, you can play on a 120 by 80.
Penagos, and that is combed over the line by San Diego. It'll be a Sacramento corner. Were you a geometry whiz in your younger days?
I'm pretty sure that I was on the opposite end of that spectrum. Right. Actually, to be fair, from a geometric standpoint, it was great. It was that whole adding thing that got in the way.
I was tutored by the great Father Murphy at St. Ignatius on that. Now I'm tutored by you here.
I've heard of him.
Sacramento 6 winless. Can they get a goal here to go ahead on the road? Pananen drives and away by Muse because Tucker Bone was slaloming down the backside. Sacramento comes off a 2-1 loss against Phoenix. Fatai Alashe was sent off in the 38th minute of that game, so he's unavailable today. Solomon Asante scored a great free kick, the league MVP. Dan Casey got his first for Sacramento in that game. Ball launched forward toward Casey. Casey started to bring that down, and Martin attempts to fire it away. Pananen. Pananen, good-looking ball, cut out before Iwasa. Still here for Sacramento. Dev, we're past the midway point in this first half. Anything truly surprise you at this point?
Surprised defensively, even though there have been opportunities. The recovery by Sacramento Republic, they haven't been poor, and it's much better than we've seen in previous games. So that's a quality start for Mark Briggs, and the fact that it's on the road, really impressed by that so far. Don't worry about the possession numbers in the upper corner. This was always going to favor San Diego Loyal, and it might get worse in that area as the night goes on. The key question is going to be those little finite moments they're going to have in and around the box, Mike, which will not be aplenty tonight for the Quails. Can you finish? Really struggled in the final third over this stretch. Last 6 games winless. Haven't won since May 12th at the beginning of this season, second game of the match. And so when you're only going to get 2 or 3 licks at goal on the road, can you finish things off? That's an uphill battle the entire way for Sac Republic.
Formela. Penagos. Formela has support. There's 7 white shirts between the ball and the goal there.
7.5. One of them was partially off camera. Told you the math. Can't lean on me there, buddy.
Formela. Lacroix. Good sturdy defense from Metcalf. It is a set piece here for Sacramento.
Would like to see a little bit more out of the 10 and Mario Penagos. It's easy to look at the role he's going to play tonight and understand the fact that almost every single ball that you're going to see come off his foot is going to be a forward motion type pass, either working down into the channel or trying to play off of Cami Wassa. The problem is he hasn't been very accurate so far, so try and find the youngster some confidence. Remember, just turned 19 years of age back on May 20th.
Ball across, lifted away by Muse. Guido. Good work from Formela. He gets brought down. Guido's going into the book, a yellow card.
You got experience with this, right? Little ballroom dancing in a roundabout sort of way. Dark Formela coming all the way back across, getting tangled up. It was a good job working back by Alejandro Guido. We'll say defensively, Mike, he's usually all hands on deck for San Diego Loyal as they track back 10, 11 behind the ball at any given point in time.
Pananen, full finish international awaits. And drives this time, Casey. This ricochets free. Cleared out by San Diego Loyal. And the Old Glory Red take over again. That's a handball. Devin, let's talk about Sacramento for a moment's time here. It was believed they would go to MLS in 2022. Then it was 2023. In February, it was announced that that entire process was put on hiatus. We spoke to Mark Briggs a bit about that this week because it's a story that simply is too big to ignore. He said, look, there's a huge cloud around us. We can't ignore that. As much as we as staff, players, and the city are happy here in USL Championship, have continued to garner tremendous support in the championship, there's so much going on, it's impossible not to have it in the back of your mind.
Think about as a player, Mike, as you approach form like this, or even at the end of the season last year, a lot of these guys are on one-year options, if any. They might be on a one-year contract flat, and so you don't know what your future holds within the club. And then all of a sudden, as the season starts, you don't know what the future holds for the club, as opposed to for yourself. As a player, we always talk about confidence, right? How do you mentally push through barriers put in front of you like that? That's a massive question that Mark Briggs just said. We're the only ones that can answer that. It all comes down to results, because we can sit back and say, what about this? We can speculate over there, point fingers here. But if we don't produce results, that means nothing. We have to make sure that we put ourselves in a position to succeed, and that all comes down to 90 minutes, 3 points, every single week. That's the ghost that they're chasing right now. You have to eliminate all of that white noise and just focus on what's right in front of you.
And to be fair, when Sacramento started with 2 straight wins and everyone was singing their praises, he told me, happy to have the 6 points, but it doesn't mean anything. We need to keep getting better. The message has not changed regardless of the form. He said at the time he was happy with the fight, the mentality, a lot of new players learning this Sacramento system. Both these sides, in truth, made a fair number of changes to their roster over the offseason. And a few weeks in, you would have thought this would be a very different tone for both sides. Barra trying to create, now Guido, the feet of Colin Martin. Good recovery out to Metcalf and Stoneman now.
There's that little slide that I talk about, except now doesn't have a running mate. Charlie Adams all the way to the left-hand side. You push Elijah Martin very high. Got to make sure that you still have proper coverage on the interior. Jack Blake currently stepping in for Guido. Corey Herzog, as he sits alone, where's your options to play off of him? With all the movement, you have to make sure that with one of your strikers isolated up top, you still give him options to succeed. Herzog great with his back to goal, so you want to play into him and then play off of him as you rotate Guido down into the midfield.
Half an hour in, San Diego and Sacramento from Torero Stadium. Public on the road. Sacramento trying to knock off San Diego for the first time at Torero Stadium this year. The sides played to a 0-0 draw last year, only meeting between them in a pandemic-shortened 2020 season. Casey hoping to orchestrate from that back line. Hananen, Metcalf. It feels like Metcalf has finally found nirvana. This is the perfect setup for him.
I would say that his professional journey so far has been interesting, right? You know, you come out of Mike Noonan's squad in Clemson. He was on the prowl for sure when he was with Charlotte. And then from there, when he goes to Atlanta United too, he almost became a father figure. Still extremely young in his career at that point in time, and it is now. He's only 29 years of age for the Liverpudlian. But he was always the leading man. He had to steer so many young voices and visions in the correct direction. What you want for a player like that is confidence and to allow him to play. Simple as that. You know, he's got the quality. That's not the issue. It was the environment for him, and could he find the right spot to succeed? He's found it here, and I love the relationship between he and Jack Blake on the right-hand side.
Yeah.
It's super fun to watch. You just pay attention to 4 and 7 in white for San Diego Loyal. He'll be extremely active on the right-hand side, and he serves the ball off that right foot that will rival some of the best in the USL Championship.
Chalk on the cleats for Ibarra. For the layman, Devin, I think the best way to explain whether or not San Diego is having an effective game is whether or not you see Blake effectively pinching in and whether or not you see Metcalf 75 to 85 yards down from his own end line.
Just also understand right now, for the last 5 minutes, everything is side to side. Doesn't matter if you can't whip a ball into the box.
It's Guido. Still for Ibarra. Slid away. Belongs to Sacramento. It was nearly short-lived. Are you willing to have that kind of possession where it sways like a pendulum, or are you trying to get this forward like this?
You're always willing to keep the ball. I can promise you this, that right now, Landon Donovan and Nate Miller, they want more options moving forward. It's a little bit slow in transition at times. Their buildup is impressive for sure. We've harped on the rotation a couple of times now. But as you and I sit here in the 33rd minute, Mike, there's the ball to the back post, coming off the ball already sent out from the corner, then Charlie Adams whips in and finds Callum Montgomery. That's the best chance of the half right now. What else have you seen? It's hard to really say that there's been quality efforts in the final third, and so as good as they are technically, and the buildup 25, 30 yards from goal, they're lacking right now. That's a vision thing, that's communication. You also have to give credit to Sacramento Republic, because with their lack of presence in the middle of the field on the build-out, defensively, they've dropped back in, and they've got quality structure so far. Just watch the movement side to side from Old Glory Red. Everybody marked up, good passing. Sometimes it's zone, sometimes it's 1v1.
For what it's worth, Mark Briggs indicated this was going to be a rock fight if he had anything to say about it. He said, throw beautiful football out the window. We want to get points.
They're basically in cup football right now. That's what it is.
When you've gone on a run like this,
you don't have, you don't have. It's very different for both sides. Loyal is looking to continue to get better, right? They are by no means a finished product, but the results are there, and I would say they're probably 80-85% of the way there right now. Sacramento Republic, they're halfway down the line. They got results early, it's the beginning of the season, but they're looking for cup football in my reference, and the fact that they just want results. There's no depth with all the injuries. You still don't have one of your biggest offensive threats in Malik Foster. Talked about that about 10 minutes in. What does that even look like once he comes back, Mike? He's gonna walk in and go, okay, where are we at, boys? That might be halfway through the season, 3/4, who knows?
Adams, this bouncing, a bit of trouble in the back for Gomez. Herzog lifting over Blake. Rare miscue in the back here for Sacramento dealing with that.
Find a way to survive and pick up points where you can right now for Sacramento Republic, especially with the very difficult schedule that they're dealing with.
Coming up for them, a 2-game homestand. They'll host Oakland and then host Orange County in a 4-day stretch. And for San Diego, they're in the middle of a 5-game homestand after beginning 4 on the road. So in theory, even though one of them is a friendly, this was always going to be the point where they would likely get this right. They'll host Tijuana from Liga MX on the 10th of July and then host Orange County, Phoenix. Dan Casey being attended to, and all the players will enjoy this quick respite. Although, Devin, I asked Mark Briggs, I said, hey, who's your MVP right now? And he paused for a long time and he said, Dan Casey's been our most consistent.
Backhanded compliment a little bit.
Well, and it's perhaps notable there's not a guy scoring, 8-10 goals. It's occurred elsewhere in the league. Dan Casey actually was a rugby player and a soccer player growing up in the suburbs of Dublin and chose to go to Sunderland to finish out his youth career.
To be fair, I'm not knocking on Dan Casey right now. It's just the fact that nobody's really playing at a very high level right now for Sacramento Republic. But the consistency, and I said this to him, that's an underrated player in this league right now in Dan Casey.
And he's 23.
Mark Briggs said, and Devin, he's so young. People don't give him the credit for his age.
I thought he was 30.
Right? And he's in October 97, 23. We're not even, we're right at halfway there, right? Playing for the Bohemians in the Irish Premiership, Cork City as well, and he comes over and he's got an understanding of this system that was picked up pretty rapidly, Dan Casey, and what Mark Briggs wanted him to do, and the fact that through the trials and tribulations, the players in and out, the injuries, international duty, goalkeeping woes, change in formations, Dan Casey has maintained form. It's not where he wants that form to be, Mark Briggs referencing his center back, but it's still playing at a very high level. Now if he can just get other people around him to buy into it.
Bit of contact here from Colin Martin. He couldn't win the ball free. For Mela with a little extra from Pananen. And this will skip out. It'll be a corner. The USL is committed to supporting the LGBTQ+ community through the Forever Proud Project. The USL will strive to create safe, welcoming environments for all fans, players, employees, and partners. You can learn more at uslsoccer.com/forever-proud. Another corner for Sacramento. Pananen. Another time where Sacramento had to go for the second ball, and Casey commits a foul. He and Guido had a couple of run-ins at this point. And San Diego into possession here. Their first shutout of the season came against Oakland last time out. They're now 7 on the bounce without a loss. 5 victories. It's their 3rd game of the week, and they're looking to make it a perfect one. Contact from behind from Pananen. Play allowed to continue. And that from McCrary is whistled. We mentioned a bit about Mark Briggs, but think about Landon Donovan starting 0-4 and 4 straight road losses at that. And a couple of them were pretty painful, if we're being honest. At the time, he said, I'm asking the leadership of this team, publicly within the locker room, privately, individually. Oh, he's trying to lob the keeper. What a terrific save from Muse. Muse spared his blushes on a half-field strike by Casey.
Said to you coming in about Trey Muse, when this back line and offense starts to break down, can he be great? Can he, in a one-on-one situation, step up and answer the call? Trey Muse, check that box off right now from distance. Some kind of save here from the goalkeeper from San Diego Loyal.
Dan Casey almost got his 2nd goal in as many games, and could they have been any more divergent in nature?
Like the clock Trey Muse on that 40-yard time right there.
Service over Iwasa. Deflected out, another corner for Pananen. Is it me, or has everyone got a license now to chip from half field?
It seems it doesn't.
It's unbelievable.
At every level of play, let's be clear.
Again, San Diego's set-piece defending has been really solid. Out to Guido. Felipe converging. The Euros, the NWSL. Seen a handful here in the championship this year. I feel like every week I'm seeing it, at least an attempt and usually a conversion. Intercepted by Iwasa. You could hear the groan of the crowd because Iwasa is driving forward. There was far more room on the left. Wasn't identified.
He tries for the Meg. Good little step there by Callum Montgomery. Grant Stillman had the run coming for Formela. It was good closure by San Diego Loyal.
Formela. Nobody there but Ibarra.
Those are the areas, Mike, 3-4 games into the season that break down and the ball ends up in the back of the net. That's the difference defensively for San Diego Loyal right now compared to their start. Of course, they're better moving forward as well. You know, the transitional moments were never an issue. It was, could you be clinical with 25, 30 yards of space? We highlighted that and ahead of the curve at the start of the game. It is lacking here, though. Approaching halftime, statistically, not very impressive. We'll get into that as we break down the highlights and what was this opening 45 minutes. But defensively, so much better, and everybody is bought in. We've applauded Jack Metcalf, talked about Callum Montgomery, Grant Stoneman back from injury. You saw the save by Trey Muse just a second ago. It's nice to know that even when things aren't going your way on one side of the field, you can still rely on the other.
This is a bit of a no man's land here, isn't it?
Good luck. From this distance, a couple extra PSI on the ball to get this thing to move a bit more.
They put it in play, and they are going for goal. Closing in on halftime here in San Diego. Favorites and dark horses and offend both fan bases watching by failing to acknowledge San Diego or Sacramento in that discussion.
It's par for the course.
Yeah.
Get in line at this point in time.
Go division by division and just wait till you see the mountain. And we'll take a look at some news and notes from around the league and show you first half highlights as well. As the USL Championship on ESPN comes to you from San Diego, California, in the midst of your holiday weekend. Two sides that played to a 0-0 draw last year. Looking for a bit more offense this time around. San Diego, the longest unbeaten streak active in the league. Sacramento, their longest winless streak in franchise history, if they fail to take all 3 points here this afternoon. Chip back to Muse. Metcalf. That's a great step by Kibinguchi, else that's gone the other way. There's Kibinguchi, played at UC Davis. He was in the Sacramento Academy for a couple of years. Made his way back into the side here in 2021. One additional minute. See Landon Donovan and Mark Briggs both having words. Landon Donovan's San Diego Loyal have made some splashy acquisitions. It appears now they've got this rolling in a way that you could argue similar to how they finished out last year. They did not lose any of their last 7 games on the field. There was one forfeit. As the final seconds leaking off the first half clock. Martin. And there's halftime. Scoreless, Devin, here at the break.
This is real simple for both teams. There are not going to be a lot of opportunities for Sacramento Republic as this game goes on. 2, 3 tops. Can you close it out when time matters? That's all it's going to come down to for Mark Briggs on the road. They're happy to get a point, but they can easily pick one off here, possibly from a set piece. For San Diego Loyal, Landon Donovan, be visionaries in the final third. It's too predictable. It's too slow in the buildup coming out of the back. You're allowing Sacramento Republic to sit and defensively gain shape. Challenge them with pace and precision and go find yourself a goal.
The USL Championship on ESPN beginning July in San Diego. Loyal with quite the support in their home venue. Sacramento trying to pick up that elusive victory. Scoreless here at the break. Devin and I pick favorites and dark horses when we return. Welcome back to the USL Championship on ESPN. Halftime in a Pacific Division clash, San Diego Loyal taking on the Sacramento Republic. Now, most teams have already crossed the quarter pole at this stage of the season. Devin and I thought we'd provide a helpful primer about the favorites and meanwhile, here in the Pacific, Sacramento and San Diego at halftime, trying to be one of those favorites. No one wants to be a dark horse too long. We've got highlights from the first half, look around the league, all when we return to the USL Championship on ESPN. Something beautiful about palm trees in the first week of July, and these two sides going tooth and nail here in the USL Championship on ESPN. San Diego and Sacramento scoreless at halftime. Mike Watts, Devin Kerr, and our
He can get the job done. There's an interesting stat here, Mike, as we break this down that isn't going to pop up, because you can look at the possession, you can look about shots. Shots on target is the interesting one. The fact that you've only hit the frame once from Callum Montgomery, your center back, is a problem. 4 of the shots are outside of the box. They've had 8 open play crosses whipped in with nobody able to get onto it except that one chance by the center back. That's a problem for San Diego Loyal.
Devin, can I tell you that when I saw Casey strike that ball, all I thought about was our time doing USL E-Cup and Rocket League, and Muse needed to use all the boost he had. We've got second half coming up here in San Diego. Scoreless at halftime in the USL Championship on ESPN. The USL Championship on ESPN, coming to you from Torero Stadium in San Diego, California. Sacramento, the 2014 championship final victors, taking on San Diego Loyal in their second season in the league. Mike Watts, Devin Kerr, glad to have you back with us. Devin, how does San Diego get the attacking prowess they're looking for out of Herzog, Guido, and others?
Got to be more active. Simple as that. We've seen Guido multiple times drop down into the pocket. They're not then taking advantage of the space in behind. Two reasons. No one's occupying it. Number two, Corey Herzog is getting marked out of the game by the backline from Sacramento Republic. Mario Panagos in the 10 spot was the question mark coming in. 45 minutes to go, and I need to see more of him on the ball because right now he hasn't checked any of the boxes that they need him to moving forward into the final third.
Bone leading Iwasa. Blasts into the back of Elijah Martin. And you can say we are officially off and running now in this second half of play. Sacramento, 2 wins, 5 losses, and a draw. They're on 7 points. And in the 8-team Pacific Division, they are lagging behind, but a win or two would certainly change their fortunes. San Diego with a win here would move into first place for the time being. Phoenix Rising will play LA Galaxy 2 later tonight. Currently lead the way in the Pacific.
That'll be a track meet. San Diego Loyal able to get 3 points out of this. Can Phoenix Rising return serve against the brilliant youngsters and Junior Gonzalez on the road? I'm here for it.
I know Devin and I are just trying to conserve enough energy to get into that match too later on ESPN Plus. Let's see Barra swerving it into the air. Martin goes up for the ball and lofted ahead by Callum Montgomery. Header down from Stoneman, and this will send Tucker Bone chasing. You'll get that. Tapped away here by Kibanguchi. Pananen here for Sacramento, captaining the side. Side that lost Drew Skundrich and Rodrigo Lopez, who shared the captain's armband last year. William Bijev, who's one of the standard bearers in that organization's history. Declan Kanon, Sam Werner, Matt Mahoney,
Adam Grinwis.
It's a different Sacramento Republic team.
Roro Lopez.
Oh, yeah.
Roro Lopez seems a bit reborn under Wilma Cabrera and RGV. They're having a quality season.
Yeah. In the Mountain Division, I know we didn't pick a favorite or a dark horse, but the best story there has to be what Wilmer's done with RGVFC.
That's not even close. The turnaround that team has put forth, given what's gone on the past couple of seasons, and that's not taking anything away from Gerson Echeverry. It was just everything that was in front of them, the relationship with the Dynamo, which is of course still there. The operating procedures are different, but everything that was put in front of them, the ability to not only navigate but appropriately maneuver the teams, the players, now a bit more standalone. An identity that has finally shown itself since that 2016 season.
You know, there's a few organizations you think of where there's a significant diaspora from that side. RGV's maybe 2017 season when Wilmer Cabrera was still there, before HEB Park was even finished. So many guys from that group. Todd Wharton, Eric Bird. Think about St. Louis FC and all the players that have spanned out. Pittsburgh every year sees 5 to 10 players all over the place. San Diego took Thomas Van Keezel. He's actually away for Gold Cup duty with French Guiana. Really busy night in the USL Championship. Indy 11 having Martin Rennie leave the club a couple weeks ago. He's broadcasting now, by the way, with us. He's actually calling that Pittsburgh-Charlotte game right now. Memphis 2 goals up on Atlanta. Tim Howard's side starting to turn that thing around.
Speaking of RGV, Kyle Murphy with the brace. There's another Toro. Nico Brett, by the way, bagged his 8th goal of the season from the penalty mark for Birmingham Legion.
I've enjoyed hearing Coach Pierman there at Memphis. It feels like they've got a more conducive setup for success.
Well, much like RGV, 901 FC. You can have a vision, Mike, but that doesn't necessarily mean that people understand what you're going to do with it. You can talk process, procedure, players, all of that, but neither one of those teams has really been in a situation to succeed for the past couple of seasons. Finally, both on the front foot, good form. To be fair to Ben Pierman, he does have success within his career already, both at the collegiate level as well as professionally with Detroit City.
Tucker Bone recovers. By the way, every one of Ian Russell's Reno teams comes to mind as well as those sides that just released talent out into the wilderness over a long period of time. This is Felipe, former Reno guy. Will bring the ball back. Casey was in on the challenge. Stoneman came up through USL League One. Nate Miller, now an assistant to Landon Donovan. If you were to say he was a body part, you'd say right hand, or potentially somewhere in between the heart and the brain.
There's a ball.
Ibarra, the back heel, creates for Guido. What a spin move for Mela. Taking matters into his own hands. Bone, 3 goals on the year. For Mela, simply out of gas.
Greatness is within grasp for these teams. The problem is you kind of turn your head and say, oh my goodness, with some of the decisions in and around the top of the 18. This is one of them for Sacramento Republic. Same thing on the other side for San Diego Loyal. Long ball out of the middle.
That's given away cheaply. Pananen. Iwasa crossing toward Bone. Terrific from Elijah Martin. Read that perfectly. And a rare moment where the Sacramento pressure totally flummoxed San Diego.
He's also very fortunate that he comes back to make amends, because he's the one who gives the ball away. So good recovery. Doesn't put his head down. Watch him close down the space and then recognizes that little pivot, the hit turn, Mike. He gets a check over the shoulder. Not only does he have Panagos in front of him, he knows the back post run from Tucker Bone is going to be there. So as poor as the ball is coming out of the back from Elijah Martin, great recognition to get back in and then close the space down.
Corner for Pananen. Header down, wrong side's Kibiguchi. Pananen slides in. Then we talked about looking for more movement for San Diego. For Sacramento, Panagos, really young player in a very important position in this scheme. So much talk about Mark Briggs trying to give freedom to players in the attacking third. So whether it's him, you've seen Bone more active, getting the best out of Kamawasa, or Formela. Sacramento's at this stage trying to figure out how to unlock San Diego. Ball forward, taken by Colin Martin. It's also forward. Orange County's done well. Did San Diego starting to see players come up. Sacramento has got 5 academy guys on their 18 today. There are others they left off that were in contention.
You also have to understand that even though certain areas are lacking, and I talked about the 10 spot, I just made reference again, you have to pick and choose when you're on the road in these games, Mike, because a result at San Diego Loyal, even a draw, is a very good result in general, yet alone for a Sacramento Republic team. that has gone 6 games without picking up 3 points.
Can I mention that is tremendous refereeing by Brandon Stevis, because McCrary and Ibarra come together and clash. Instead of starting to throw yellow cards every which direction, get control of it here rather than allow the two sides to egg each other on. Because know this, if he was handing out yellow cards right now, even you'd be out of the game for some of the chippiness we've seen.
Fair enough. Well, watch him as he gets up off the deck. Ibarra doesn't like the quickness there. It's a little touch, and then he gets up, returns the favor. Mark Briggs wants to make friends as well. A little bit late to the party for Mark Briggs.
Kananen bounced up Corey Herzog, one of the league's all-time scoring greats. Shove in. This is kept by Sacramento over the continued roar of the Torero Stadium crowd. Players still down for San Diego behind the play, and Metcalf will usher this over the end line. Jack Blake and Felipe went shoulder to shoulder a moment ago, and Blake is still down.
This is a foul to me, in from behind for Luis Felipe. Watch the arm, the forearm on the back of Jack Blake as he starts to move forward. To me, that's too far behind for it not to be a foul. He recovers, Mike, and almost comes even with him. But as soon as he starts to make the challenge, that's where he gets himself into trouble. That acceleration slows, and the actual contact comes on the backside of Jack Blake, which forces him to ground.
So Blake is still down here. Devin is one of our favorites, both for our podcast, right, but also for our show on Sirius XM FC, USL All Access. We had him on a couple weeks ago on a Tuesday night. Show airs at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 Pacific, and you've got a bit of a relationship here with Jack at this point, where you guys were going through his past stops, captaining Real Monarchs to a championship, and his backstory, and he just seems like such an ideal teammate. There's a wave right now from the athletic trainer over toward the sideline, as if to suggest Blake will be able to continue.
This just gets caught up underneath him for Jack Blake, and the concern is as he steps into the pitch here, the momentum, the force coming back into his body. And you're right, whether it's with Theranos Lads or with SiriusXM All Access, he's a polished individual. I'm impressed with his personality, because it's off the field, it's on the field. A lot of times, Mike, you'll see guys that are extremely different. Not Jack Blake. He's charismatic, humor, confidence. You don't want to call it swagger, because that's why I say polished. It's more of a specific type of etiquette that goes about his business at a professional level, that carries himself. You know, it's the step into the room and everybody looks at him type of guy.
Corner is caught by Muse. San Diego goes to work here. You can tune in again on ESPN2 Saturday, July 17th. USL on ESPN continues in the Mountain Division. This is good from Ibarra. Watch out, Colin Martin unleashes. Picked up by Formela. Herzog, who's never shy in pressure. Iwasa. This will run away. We've got Colorado Springs Switchbacks FC in the new Widener Field in the national spotlight on July 17th on ESPN2. San Antonio comes to town, 2 p.m. Eastern matinee. Don't miss a second. Saturday, July 17th, 2 p.m. Eastern, ESPN2. Guido's slow to get back to his feet here. You and I have seen Widener Field a couple times. We'll dig into that in a moment. It's Adams getting the ball forward and then Guido on the turn.
Okay, makes sense. A little bit behind the movement here, coming all the way back across. Love the ball in by Hunter Guido, by the way. That's some of the movement that was lacking by San Diego Loyal to jump to the next level not only quickly but efficiently. The horizontal play can be really lacking. You know, let's weave this side to side, and then can we step into the final third? Now it's more, let's go up top, and can we still bring it square? We need the combination of the two here, Mike. The balance right now for San Diego Loyal. These are the little things that Landon Donovan talked to us about, though, and asking him, what's the difference between this team and last team, and the level that you're at compared to where you could be? And he said that where we were at the end of last season, I know we can reach that pinnacle again. I said this to you, I felt like their form at the end of 2020, though just missing the playoffs, was some of the best that I've ever seen in this league.
Pananen able to get this wide. Iwasa making a central run, comes to Muse. San Diego took about 8 games to get it right last year. Expansion season, COVID-19 steps in after just 1 game at home.
And yet still.
All that weight, 7 games out of it, they were still struggling, and then bam.
I'll take that type of team performing at that level against a Louisville in 18, against a Monarchs to close 19. I'd probably be a little bit scared to say Phoenix at their height in 19 at the beginning of that run. You know, at the end of the run, it became very much about results as opposed to the quality that was put forth, and they can conflict.
By the way, to go back a step here, Colorado Springs just opened their new stadium. We know Louisville opened theirs last year, and others are coming. The renovated stadium in Charlotte will come to the fore here this month. Excited for them. Ibarra crossing, diving header, Herzog, San Diego scores. And it had to be that man.
Moving in transition is one thing, but I said coming into this match, Mike, watch when it breaks down the amount of pressure that they apply. It doesn't have to be a full-out press, but all hands on deck defensively. It's the turnover. Look at Jack Blake. All the way across the field, and he goes to work. Great little step back inside. Miguel Ibarra recognizes he's going to have space to work with here. Explodes into the space in front of him, and Corey Herzog. Was it going to be Guido or Herzog? Both lacking in the opening 45 minutes. Bide your time on that back shoulder run. Find that half space in front of the defender, and you will find closure in and around the top of the 6. You get it from Corey Herzog here in the second half.
It is his second of the season. And Corey Herzog, the 3rd all-time leading scorer in the USL Championship, is now on 69 career goals. And it's given away cheaply here. It could all come apart. It's Guido. The overlap. The shot is deflected by Gomez. Blake coming off the edge. And look at Landon Donovan. As good a goal scorer as the United States has ever produced.
Left or right? Which side do you want to have some fun with now if you're San Diego Loyal? Because everything is ticking. The past 90 seconds. Great understanding by Guido that he doesn't have to force the issue here. Ball square back across. Jack Blake has made his home in that bottom corner, if not for Tomas Gomez.
Landon Donovan has spoken in the past about how excited he is helping players experience their dreams the way he did. Now that makes coaching so much better. Right now, San Diego trying to double their advantage and get this crowd whipped into a frenzy once more. It's caught now by Gomez. How much did this change things, Devin, for Sacramento and the way they play moving forward?
It changes everything. The question is for Mark Bricks is how long is he going to wait to make a change? I've already got 2 ideas of what he can do. The question is, will he do it? You know, you're struggling in the 10 role, and I understand that. The idea to elongate that process and try and wear this down, maybe nick a goal on the other end of the field, is no longer an option. You need someone to step in for Penagos. Again, I've mentioned his name a couple of times. I want to make sure that people understand I'm not harping on his performance. Defensively, it's just too much of an ask to then spring and go the other direction. So you have 2 options right now. You bring in a holding midfielder which based upon what they put out recently is probably going to be Andrew Wheeler-Amanu, and you bump Pete Pananen up into that 10 role. He can play it, he's just not necessarily the #1 option for me. And the form that you have out of these guys, you pull Panagos off, you drop Cami Wassa into that space, and then you do one of two things. You keep Formela on the left, put Belmar up top, or you put Belmar on the left and put Formela up top. I'm going with the latter. I'll put Formela at my 9, and now you've got fresh legs in multiple positions. You've got an idea from Cami Wassa that he can now float freely. You're going to take some of the defensive responsibility away from him. That's the look for them right now. He can also switch to a 3, but that's really the only place right now that they need help. You can change one piece, move 3 different areas, and get a totally different look for this team going forward.
Luis Felipe returns for Sacramento. Casey. Forward from Lacroix. This is intriguing at minimum. Prairie pulled over. Felipe did well. Pananen with a deflection. A corner. And no, certainly did appear so, and Muse was chasing after this. This would be a goal kick.
The other side of that argument, just to put a bow on it, Mike. Let's say you do want to switch formations. Pull one of your center backs off. Kibiguchi would be the key guess. Yeah. With as important as Dan Casey is to this back line, you pull him off, drop into a 3, and then you can pick your poison going forward. You can leave Mario Panagos there, just underneath Cami Wassa, but you can add another attacking option. Belmar still fits the bill. And then outside of him, really those are you can bring the youngster Chavez off the bench too, but it's really 2 attacking options for me. If you want a professional that's seen this environment and you're trying to make your way back into the game, I'm going with the first 2 that we talked about instead of switching everything all the way up.
San Diego is trying to make it 5 wins in 5 games here at Torero Stadium to start the year. They get their 6th win and puts them on 20 points, top of the Pacific Division. The goal from Herzog in the 62nd. Guido pulled over by Pananen from Sacramento. Trying to avoid making it 7 without a victory. The fight's there, Dev.
He's going to need an ice bath after this game. Double the Epsom salt. Put the order in now and let the physio know. You don't want to get yourself into trouble when the guys start lining up coming out of the dressing room. Little essential oil maybe, lavender.
You giving away all your secrets.
I'm just saying, man. You know, sleep problems, trying to regen the body.
Nothing says you have an infinite home quite like talking about sleep problems.
Little reishi tea to calm yourself after a 90-minute performance. Why not? And yet still, we don't have the soothing sounds of the Nate Miller IPA. I've lobbied for it a couple of times with Stone Brewing. They just, it's funny. They blocked me on social media. They quit returning my calls. You would think I'd take a hint, but that's not going to happen.
So roll outside toward what is a large Stone Brewing inflatable that only serves to taunt Devin in its execution along the sideline. Pananen will put this out over the line. turned over to Sacramento. Sacramento into the final third. Options percolating.
There's an argument to be had here as well, Mike. That 7-minute spell for San Diego Loyal. It's still only 1-0. Games like this, come the end of the season, teams fighting for their lives, looking for a playoff berth. You move into the knockout format, you got to be able to tuck another one away here. It's too close.
Corner, Casey.
For moments like that, right there. Saw Kibiguchi in the first half. Little moments, as good as you can be for San Diego Loyal, in build up, in conversion for a couple of minutes. These little moments for Sacramento Republic. Remember, Dan Casey was the one that hit it from distance just before halftime. And if not for Trey Muse, Sacramento Republic was out in front.
Guido isolating Ibarra. He'll provide assistance. Guido, a San Diego native. There's a handful on the roster. Sal Zizzo comes to mind as well. Metcalf. Adams. Ibarra. Chipped through by Guido. Not a bad idea. Martin will reset. San Diego thought at the beginning of the season this was a challenging division. At the time, Landon Donovan going into game one told me, we know Phoenix and Sacramento are going to be good. Ball ahead here for Herzog. The rest of the division, he said, was pick 'em. How about this effort? It's Adams looking to provide a crushing blow to the Republic.
I half expected that to end up in the upper corner like we saw in the opening match in 2020 against Las Vegas Lights. And the one to strike he hit then. Problem was is he pulled that thing down from 4 stories in that match.
Yep. And Junior Burgos.
Boom.
For Las Vegas.
Speaking of strikes from distance, hit that from the parking lot.
Bone has company. Colin Martin came in from behind and nearly dispossessed him. It's still here with Sacramento, and the whistle blows. A free kick to come. We're 73 minutes in now and still no substitutes. San Diego, heavy schedule congestion, but trying to make sure they see this over the line with this boisterous crowd having their back. Pananen. The United Soccer League, all 31 championship clubs and its players stand together in support of diversity, inclusivity, equality, and compassion. For more information on the USL's commitment to change through the United Against Racism campaign, visit uslsoccer.com. Mike Watts, Devin Kerr from San Diego, California on a sunny 4th of July weekend. San Diego takes the lead in the 62nd minute. Try to continue the best run of form in the league now that El Paso has finally saw a defeat. Ball from Blake, smothered by Gomez. El Paso, including the playoffs, have gone over 20 unbeaten. San Diego trying to put the finishing touches on an 8th in a row without a loss. That diagonal is absolutely on point. And a good step by from Metcalf. Bone returns for Mela. Campfire. Came off Herzog. A shin guard has been lost in this.
Good thing they're glow in the dark. Almost lost it there.
That can be seen from the space station.
You know, my favorite thing, whether I was at the youth level or moving into the pros, was always people's magnificence on what they were putting under their socks. Everybody was so particular. Check this out. Look at this. This color's so great. Oh, look at the pattern. Nobody sees them.
No, then the referee walks out and says, I'm not supposed to see those.
Yeah.
Iwasa spears this aside. For Mela. Can he be a difference maker here for Sacramento? For Mela crossing. Still for Penagos. And away by Montgomery. Decent from Muse. He left some work to do. Montgomery was more than happy to do it.
That's some of those moments that we talked about, though, Mike, for Troy Muse, where he spills this out. He doesn't need to as a goalkeeper. He's got plenty of room to work with. As this ball's come into him with the people around him, he's got to catch this ball. And you hear a lot from goalkeeper coaches and from managers, catch it. It's as simple as that.
McCrary teeing this for Penagos. McCrary. Pananen. Ball across for Iwasa. Montgomery again. Kibanguchi holding it down for Sacramento. Republic do have options on the bench, and a few are waiting to make entrance. McCrary battling away at Iwasa. The overlap to McCrary. Devin, it's a game of inches, and we've seen it multiple times, those narrowly missed connections. And a foul from Felipe. Changes here for Sacramento, and you'd argue this is a bit of a surprise. It's the 19-year-old Chavez who came through the Sacramento Academy. He was part of the inaugural Academy teams there. Tucker Bone will come off up front. And then Shannon Gomez is going to come on as well. He's got a few caps with the Trinidad and Tobago national team. I think at this stage we probably would have expected to see Wheeler Amanu or Belmar. Nagos comes off. Looking at your face right now, and this doesn't really seem to make a ton of sense based on past substitution patterns.
It's not just patterns, it's the understanding of what those players can offer you, right? Get there in a second as San Diego Loyal's now going to respond. Playing chess over here, Landon Donovan is.
Ito's making his way toward the bench. See Colin Martin making his way off. Ryan Madden, who has such an important role within the league office and spearheading many of the main ongoing initiatives for the league, had a good interview with Colin Martin that can be seen in its entirety on the USL Championships YouTube page about how soccer can be more inclusive. Colin Martin coming out as openly gay during his time in Minnesota and has continued to shine a positive light for everybody to see. But a really important conversation that those two had. Martin will come off here. Josh Yarrow will come in to try and take the air out of the ball, center back. Former #2 pick by the Philadelphia Union back in 2016, and then Moshe Bani has come on as well. Attempt to hold that up, broke down. Comes over to Jack Blake. Quickly maintained by Sacramento. San Diego subs make a little more sense for you in theory?
The movement's easier for them because of the fact that you have all these defenders that can slide on that back line. All four of them outside of Elijah Martin can easily play center back or outside marking back. Jack Blake, of course, on the exterior, clog up the middle too.
Shannon Gomez, welcome to the game. Elijah Martin, terrific. Stoneman. I mean, look, there's some explosive movement in this San Diego side. Don't get that twisted. You could argue with Miguel Berry being recalled, going to Columbus from his loan. By the way, congratulations to our good friend Brian Dunseth, who got to help open the stadium on ESPN earlier today. New stadium in Columbus. Dunny. But you could certainly argue San Diego's defense has been what's really turned this thing around. Because early on, the argument wasn't that Muse was bad. The argument was that they weren't doing enough in front of him.
For sure. Which is funny, because the question posed 90 seconds ago was, do these substitutions make sense? And now they have the luxury of all those players on the back line.
Taken away from Formella, and you can see the frustration. His head snapped straight back. Blake. This is a San Diego team that didn't have a shutout until their last game against Oakland, and they're trying to make it 2 in a row. All the way to the end line, turning it, Wassa falls for Pananen, and away. Felipe. Out of this chaos, we'll find Chavez. Scored a game winner last year against Portland. McCrary, that's a vet savvy from Herzog.
There's a foul.
Chavez came into the game about 2 minutes ago and gets greeted with a yellow card in his 4th appearance of the season, all off the bench.
A change by Moshe Bani up top for Guido makes sense. With Colin Martin departing, Blake comes to the inside. Jack Metcalf goes out to basically an extended right back, because you can't really call him a midfielder. He's not playing that high anymore. He's helping out to thwart off the attacks by Dark Formella on that left-hand side. Stoneman drops into the out-and-out marking back spot, and Josh Yarrow gives you fresh legs next to the Loney Callum Montgomery. That's the movement though, Mike. You've got 5 defenders easily to step in there and close down the space, even though Sacramento Republic is able to get a brief glimpse of goal.
Chavez. Mela sending this into a wide area. 4 minutes and stoppage remains. Carlton Belmar coming on here. His dad, Frank, was a Navy man, a chief petty officer who was stationed in San Diego when Carlton was born. He was there for 4 years until they moved to Virginia Beach in 1996. His father came from Grenada along with his mother, and he coached and played soccer while he was in the Navy. Belmar's father passed away in 2009. Spoke to Carlton Belmar about it while he was still at Swope Park Rangers, and he spoke about the impact his dad had coming from the bottom in the Caribbean. And on this day, the eve of the 4th of July, it's the Mission Gratitude game here in San Diego as well. Pananen, that header away, leaves some work to do. Chavez for Muse. We'll certainly see plenty people in uniform around the stadium today as well. The team is given tickets to many active military members and their families.
There's been a couple of balls whipped in here from set-piece situations for Sacramento Republic that have really been a cause for concern for Loyal. Not the best marking. Zonal passing, and they're just not picking up the reads, Mike. And that's another good example that even when the ball doesn't make its way into the box the first time, they're not picking up that secondary run. It's not hard to figure out either. It's just outside the top of the 18. Even if it comes square back across, 2 things are going to happen. He's going to step on it, he's going to hit it. Just step right up into that space and apply some pressure.
No margin for error anymore. Ben Spencer, who just came into the game, now Moshe Bani, the back of Shannon Gomez. By the way, in a roundabout way to please Devin, I'm sure. Here's a Jack Metcalf Scouser sign up on the far sideline, the former Liverpool youth.
Go on, son. Don't be shy, Loyal.
Time is of the essence here. Ibarra sprinting in, and there's the mistake from Sacramento. More time will eke off the clock here as we approach the 90th minute. What a job right now by Landon Donovan and his staff. This could have been the Titanic, Devin. 4 losses, all on the road, 9,000 miles. He said he knew the schedule when he saw it. Last year, he felt like maybe the league office could have done him a few favors when the remade schedule came out following the COVID-19 pandemic, the return to play. Elijah Martin shown yellow here. Time wasting. Elijah Martin, who has such a positive attitude, somehow has 4 yellow cards already this year. Everything forward now, right, Devin, for Sacramento? We may get a handful of minutes here, a stoppage, but no time to waste.
wonder with the health, Mike, and the substitutions that happen in this game, what that looks like behind the scenes for someone like Carlton Belmar. You know, the changes that were made. I'm not questioning Mark Briggs by any means, but different than what we've seen in the past. I mean, you just bought yourself, I believe it was just under 10 minutes of gameplay with Duke Lacroix going up to play alongside Cami Wassa. I don't think I've ever seen Duke Lacroix in a more advanced role in his entire career.
Well, Lacroix as a professional, certainly not the case. He was a forward back in college, but that was a ways back.
A lot has happened since then, we'll say.
It's back when Lacroix was wearing a much younger man's clothes. 2014, he was a senior at Penn, won the Offensive Player of the Year in the Ivy League. Mitchell Tainter comes on. He'll replace Jordan McCrary.
All you need is one little brief glimmer here. If you're Sacramento Republic, as frustrating as this match has been, you're still in it. It's been one of the main issues for San Diego Loyal in a lot of their games. Landon Donovan knows it. Nate Miller recognizes the fact that they got to be better in and around goal. And even though the buildup on the goal was great, that spell really only lasted about 5 or 7 minutes after. Quick little presence in the middle of the field. You win it, you score, you apply some pressure, you don't grab another goal. And as you approach added extra time, and you're in it right now, Mike, with about 2.5 minutes to go, you're still clinging on for dear life in hopes that you can close this thing out. Got to find a way to add more tallies into the back of the net. If they truly want to be, as Landon Donovan says, elite, watch out. They've got to find ways to close this out.
Well, Formella didn't think it was a foul to begin with, and the way he fired that ball downfield, without much of a thought for where it might land.
Just utter frustration here from Dark Formella. To be fair, it's not the worst of challenges. He's upset because he does get a lot of the ball. The problem is he comes from an extremely restricted position under Jack Blake. Remember, you can't cut in from behind like that, even if you do get all ball. And then just boiling over here for Mela.
And look, Devin, Sacramento's at that point now. It's about to be 7 without a win. This is not a club that loses. The fight is there. You can see that there's a positive overall mentality about the journey that they need to take. But they've never missed the playoffs. They won the title in their expansion season. Those are the expectations. Everyone wants to play in front of 11,500. Everyone wants to coach in front of 11,500. Right now, that can be a very suffocating feeling when you're not getting results. We may well go past the 4 minutes with the addition of the yellow card. Ball across, header is in! Mitchell Tainter equalizes in stoppage time. And even the coach is in on it. Rarely in your life will you see such a massive sigh of relief from a city and a club. It may not be a win, but for Sacramento, this will feel like something truly special.
Any sort of result on the road is a good one at Torero, but for Sacramento Republic, claiming to dear life in the USL Championship, 6 games without a win. They'll take anything that they can get. The substitution's questionable, but the impact cannot be questioned from Mitchell Tainter. Leaves for a year. Remember, he was ever present for those 18 and 19 runs that saw them in and around the top 4 in the Western Conference. Everything came down for Loyal. Yeah, you get your goal, but is it going to be enough? Mike, I reverted back to it 3 separate times. That's exactly why. You cannot leave doubt for a team like Sacramento Republic fighting for their utter lives. It will come back to haunt you, and it has.
In the last minute of stoppage time, Mark Briggs' side steals a point out from Torero Stadium. And Landon Donovan's side continues their unbeaten stretch to 8 games but dropped points at home for the first time this year as Mitch Tainter scores a magnificent headed goal on the service by Carlton Belmar in the dying seconds. And Herzog's go-ahead goal for San Diego is ultimately leveled out. What a remarkable late-game performance from Sacramento to get a point. Could this be the turning point for them? San Diego does continue their unbeaten run. Sacramento doesn't get a win, but we'll wrap it up when we return.
Thank you for joining us here at Sacramento Stadium this evening. It's a really fun and safe holiday weekend. Thank you most of the players. Thank you to all those fans for attendance. We invite you to come back to Sacramento Stadium next Saturday, July the 10th. As we take on the Solos of Luke Tijuana. A historic cross-border matchup right here on the campus of USD. 5 p.m. kickoff, Saturday, July 10th. SD Loyal against Luke Tijuana.
A 1-1 draw that feels like a win for that man. Mitchell Tainter comes from soccer royalty. His grandfather was a legendary coach at UConn, and he will enjoy this moment. The Tower Bridge Battalion that traveled gets their goal. 1-1 at full time. USL Championship on ESPN from Torero Stadium. There's the moment between the locals and the loyal players. Mike Watts, Devin Kerr, let's wrap this one up, Devin. First goal comes 62nd minute from Corey Herzog.
Beautifully worked. Everything that we talked about coming into the game about the rotation, the press. San Diego Loyal, clinical in the final third in execution. Little step on the left side. Jack Blake goes to work, so does Ibarra, and Corey Herzog finally gets in. That's all you wanted the entire match. The problem was you wanted more of it, and you're going to get it. It's on the other side of the field. 91st minutes the sub. Mitchell Tainter steps on. 90 plus. Mitchell Tainter steps in. Watch him just rise to the occasion here on the back post. Get in behind Callum Montgomery. Montgomery needs to be attacking this ball. Instead, Tainter is the one who uses all of his momentum to stick this in the back of the net and climb out of here with an extremely valuable point. He scored 8 goals in his entire career. That might be one of the most important ones.
Devin, here are the full-time stats as the fans make their way out. Chance for your final thoughts?
Hit the target. San Diego Loyal. Simple as that. Hit the target. Look at all the time Sacramento Republic put something on frame and Trey Muse. As you look back at the 90 minutes, Mike, the better opportunities, simple enough, came from the visitors. You carry all the possession you want. You can pound 70 yards in. but it's the final 25 or 30 yards that matter most. They can't finish it. Sacramento Republic comes back into this game. I told you it was going to happen.
Well, we appreciate you watching. Landon Donovan's down on the field with his little Donovans in Galaxy shirts. What a game this was. 1-1 the final score. They were must-have points for Sacramento, and they do come away with something. For our whole Vista World Link crew, led by producer Shardy Yerke, director Gage Tillotson, Miguel Manella, Devin Kerr, Mike Watts, saying so long from San Diego. Have a happy 4th.